Hello there. Welcome back to Rooted Vines, where we are doing our Wellness Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me today. As you know, we are talking about meditation. We did an intro to meditation in July. Today, we're going to get a little deeper with some steps that I would love for you to take when meditating. Remember, Rooted Vines is about herbal teas and inner alchemy. Teas are about a process and it reflects how we live our life. And that's why I paired the two together, because I am about internal transformation, looking within self, trying to find those things that do not serve us, kick them to the curb, and to fulfill our life with the things that we love, that we feel comfortable with, learning to create those boundaries so that we don't end up breaking our own hearts, which really happens nine out of 10 times. We want to point to the outside world, but really it's a reflection of us. Wellness Wednesday, and today we are talking about to self-discovery. If you do not know me, I'm Mayah Anderson. I'm your herbal alchemist, and I am here to guide you through this session. I'm also the owner of Rooted Vines, a herbal tea boutique, where we offer teas that help your mind, your body, and your spirit so that you can live a more harmonious and balanced life. Y'all know I'm a Libra, so I'm all about that balance, right? You have your journals. I hope you have your favorite tea, and thank you again for joining. So today is journaling into self-discovery. The purpose of journaling is to write it down, get it plain, make it plain, not only your vision, but sometimes we do have to go back because sometimes we see things in a different light years later. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I want to start off with us learning to journal about our childhood. A lot of us journal about what's going on now, maybe what happened a few years ago, maybe what could happen in the future, which is wonderful. But if you're living a life right now that you just don't know how you got there, you're not happy with your job, your spouse, or how your household is ran, whatever it is that you feel that you're not happy with, even within yourself, right? Sometimes we have to go all the way back to childhood. So I want to start there with our journaling process. The childhood helped shape our beliefs, our behaviors, and the decisions that we're making today. And sometimes we are not aware that the decisions we are making, the people we're choosing to be around, the places we decide to go, have a lot to do with what happened in our childhood. So we're going to start there. Sometimes going back to your childhood is definitely going to pinpoint some things that maybe you see that the chaos is coming from, the confusion is coming from, right? Maybe there was some unintentional hurt that was done in the past that has you making some questionable choices because you fear what could happen due to what has happened to you in the past, right? Repeating the process. So we want to make sure we uproot those things that are not serving us, right? Uproot the chaotic behavior, uproot the lies to ourselves and the intentional lies that were told to us, right? Because our parents were just vessels. They did what they could. Whoever raised you, they were just vessels. They did what they could. And sometimes the truth was the truth then, but it's not so much the truth now. As you see, times are changing. So a lot of the things that baby boomers believe don't necessarily apply to how we're living our life now. And us Gen Xers are really finding that out. And I know the millenniums and all of that are also going through some shift changes with beliefs and the shapes and how you are supposed to live your life and build that foundation. Make sure that you're in a quiet space, right, for your journaling. Anytime you journal, make sure you have a quiet space. Maybe light a candle. Have your tea ready. Yes, have your tea ready. Make sure you put in the chat what type of tea you have brought to the journaling session today, okay? I want you to be in a place of calm when you reflect, because I know some people have some childhoods that can be very triggering. It's very hard to go back. It's very hard to relive some conversations between parents, between pastors, between whoever, right? Sometimes it is very hard. And I know when we do memories, we always want to think of the good things, but it's those tough situations that are usually the ones that changed our lives forever. Now, we do have some good memories that changed our lives, but it's those underlying struggle situations that changed us that we don't even recognize, and that we're making assumptions, we're making judgments, we're making decisions and choices off of some bad information or bad memory. What I want you to do is just take a few minutes to really reflect on your household dynamics when you were younger, and as far back as you could remember. So whatever, age 3, age 4, whatever you can remember, the way up through elementary school. We're going to stop at elementary school. Those are the fundamental years where impressions are really made. That's where we are really gathering what is important, what's not important. That's where we are accepting the beliefs of our parents, the rules of our parents, the rules of the church, and your friends. And your friends are very important then, your grandparents, the teachers at school. Very impressionable at that age. So I want you to go back and I want you to reflect just a little bit and write down, what was your family dynamics like? You know, were you in a one parent household? Did your mom work all the time? Were you two parents, but your parents both work? Was your mom a stay at home mom, or was your dad a stay at home dad? Did anyone work two jobs? Was it an active family? Did you have a lot of siblings? Like, you need to find out what your family dynamic was like and how you felt in that dynamic. Did your parents have time for you? Did you get along with your siblings? Did you eat at the dinner table? Were conversations had, or were conversations just assumed? Like, you just knew some certain things, right? And things weren't talked about. Were the kids allowed to talk when dad came home? There's a lot of different dynamics that happen in a family that you carry with you. Either you do not want to repeat, but you repeat it anyway and don't even recognize that you're repeating it anyway, or you have ran so far from that and just lived your life on the opposite side of the polarity scale. Okay. And some people have done that, like gone too far. There's not really a balance there because of what has happened in their childhood. So just take a few minutes to dive in and think about your family dynamic. I don't know if you think about that much, or how many people really think about how they were raised and how they saw things from a child's perspective. Children don't know what their parents are going through, but when they grow up, they keep those memories and they assume parents made choices to hurt them, or parents did certain things. But as a child, you only see a child's story, and no adult is going to come to a child and say, look, I ain't got the money for the light bill, so I'm gonna go out here with Mr. Jones for a few minutes, right? Nobody's gonna talk about those things to a child. So a child grows up assuming certain things about their parents, but they really don't know the hardships that were going on. They don't know the parents' nightmares, their struggles, their pains, their demons that they're fighting, even their addictions if they have any, right? So the children grow up assuming certain things about their parents that could be so far from the truth. You got attitudes, and now you got split relationships over this. And I believe we need to really come to ourselves, because as adults, we should be able to understand what they may have been going through, because we have gone through some things. We have gone through some heartaches. We have tried to figure out how to pay some bills. We have gone through some things, right? So to have that grace and that compassion for the parents that that you came through as vessels that did the best that they could, coming through whatever they came through, right? I want you to think about also writing down the key figures in your life in childhood. Was it your parents? Was it Mrs. Smith, your math teacher? What were the characters that you really looked up to? What kind of characteristics did they have? Write that down. How did you feel when you were around them? And you can also write down how you felt around the adversary. Maybe you didn't get along with your dad, or maybe you were scared of your dad. Write the feelings, what you felt and why you felt that way. What made you feel? Did he have a strong, boisterous voice? Was he just never really there? Even if he was there, did he know how to talk nice to you, or was he always gruff and, one of those mans, alpha mans? Was he kind of quiet and submissive? Was your mom more the take charge? And how did you feel as a child watching that dynamic? And writing the characteristics your parents had, your siblings, what kind of characteristics did they have, and how did they make you feel when you were around your siblings? This is very important, especially when we come to the dynamic of dealing with society as you grow up, right? How you function as adult with other people. And it could be some things going on that you didn't see with your siblings, even your friends, even your teachers, people in authority. How do you see them? How do you feel about them? I don't know if this light just went off or what. How do you feel about them when you're around them? How do they make you feel? So this is important too, because this can answer a lot of questions with your spouse, your boyfriend, um, your work supervisors, people who talk aggressively, and how it makes you feel. Are you someone who withdraws, or do you feel like, I've been through this, so I'm going to stand my ground, and we're going to, you give the attitude, I can give it right back kind of deal? It's telling you a lot about yourself as a child, but it's also ringing some bells about, hey, I'm struggling in this area. Maybe it came from that. Maybe my trust issues came from that. I want to recognize that with it. That's what inner alchemy is about, self-realization, because everything that you produce outside yourself came from you first, whether it's your mind, your body, or your spirit. It was conjured up in you first, and then you produce it on the outside. And that's why some of our lives look so chaotic. What was actually valued in your home? This is another thing, where we get our values and our morals when we are younger, until we figure out sometimes later down that line, that those aren't our morals and our values. That's not our core beliefs as an individual, right? So what was valued in your home? Was money valued? Was quality time valued? Was honesty, integrity valued in your home? What was valued? And then what you value now? Was looking good valued? Did you have to have the newest and the greatest, right? What was the car valued more than the children? Was TV shows valued? It happens, right? Was education valued? Was that pressured? Was that where you needed to be? Your household really valued that. You can see from the values that your family and what you grew up with, how it affects you today. Whether you were rebellious or not, even if you were rebellious, say that education was hugely valued and you just was like, that's just not me, I'm not going to college, da, da, da. It still holds a place in your adult life. And if it's an area that you are struggling in, you definitely want to go back and journal about that. Write your feelings down about the value of it. Was it too much, right? Did they value it too much? Was there no balance? Like, they didn't care about the emotions of the thing. This is what you're going to do. And I know a lot of people struggle with that with parents who have like businesses and they want their children to take over because they worked so hard. They got you to a certain place. You were able to enjoy the benefits of what, and now you don't want to take over. And I know that's a hard place for a lot of people to be, because they placed a lot of value and a lot of pride on what they did. And for you to just nonchalantly say, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to do that. That kind of like a slap in the face to them. But we have to learn to stand on our own, create a strong foundation, because basically that's what your parents want you to do. They want you to stand on your own. They want you to be able to pursue those things that you love. Sometimes they get lost in the mix because they want to have you live vicariously through what they have already created, this pipeline that they created, and they're just going to pop you in with no type of consensus or emotions about how you may feel or what your dreams or your goals may be. They kind of just throw it out with the bathwater. But when you go back and you look at the different generations, you would understand why they believe what they believe and how they were brought up. And they're just passing along the baton and expecting you to pick it up. But these generations are like, there's more out here. This is not my life. This is not my assignment. I feel it in my gut. And I'm so sorry that you have to go and find someone else to give your hard work to continue your legacy. All right. So we definitely want to talk about how your household as a child mirrors your life today. This is very important. And as I talk about all these different segments, you're not going to do them all tonight. This is like over time. And we're going to revisit this childhood thing again on another Wellness Wednesday meditation, journaling meditation, because it's a lot to encompass. And I think I'll just break it down in bite-sized pieces. Right now, I just want to talk about the different aspects of that you could journal about so that you can see if that childhood is affecting your life today. When we talk about this, the mirroring of childhood versus adulthood, it could be positive and it can be negative. So definitely look for the positives of the mirroring if you had a positive childhood, or even if you had glimpses of positive situations, right? The whole childhood doesn't have to be perfect or happy or serene, but there are places where you smiled and you laughed, or there's someone where you just felt like, man, if they could have been in my life forever, right? Whether it be a neighbor or a teacher that you just were awe inspired about. Those are great things. Is that being mirrored as an adult? Or is more the negative that you see is being mirrored as an adult? And can you see how you got to where you are as adult, the choices that you made to get you to where you are? Because yes, you're exposed to a lot of things as a child. You see a lot of things, you misunderstand a lot of things, but it's still your responsibility as adult to go within and situate that stuff out. No one can do that for you. And someone can apologize to the cows come home, but if you are not ready or even willing to have the conversation or accept the apology, then it's all for naught. People are not going to stay around and keep apologizing all day long because you can't go within yourself to find out what's going on, that you can't accept their apology, or you don't have the strength to go in yourself and see the other person's perspective, especially when it comes to parents. My childhood had some turbulent levels too, and I understand from my parents' perspective where they were. And it was, once I did that, it was so easy to mend relationships because I know that this life is not easy. And sometimes it will throw you a curveball, right? Where your parents don't even know what to do. They've never been in that situation. So the choices that they make may affect your life as a child, because we are hitched to our parents. So whatever they decide, unfortunately, we're coming along, right? And so you have some children who are homeless because their parents made certain decisions. Um, they just happen to be hitched along to their wagon, and that's where they are. So now they're experiencing some things. There's a lot of things that parents hitch their children to, unintentionally, sometimes intentionally. They just don't care. We do have a lot of selfish parents out here. That's the name of the game. Not everybody's meant to be a parent. Not everybody's meant to be a wife, a husband, but things happen. And so some people who were never meant to be that end up being that, and they're not the greatest at it. So what did they consider success, right? What was successful to them? Was money successful to them? Was fame successful to them? Was just graduating high school a success? Understanding the levels of success, and if you hit those levels, have you gone beyond those levels? What does that look like? And does that motivate you to keep going? Does that motivate you to continue school the way that you do, to thrive, to make sure that you are number one in everything you do, even if you feel like you're tired and you're exhausted? Why are you doing this to yourself? Are you doing it because you can hear your parents' voice in the background? Are you doing it because you have something to prove? You feel like you don't want to let them down, or it's just been ingrained in you. And even though you're tired, even though you do want to take a rest, you just don't know how. Going back and really revisiting those things. And if you can talk to your parents, I know some people can, some people can't, but if you can, to get some answers or some clarity, it might help you to let go of some of the pressures that we put on ourselves, right? To be able to just breathe and give ourselves a break from just pushing and pushing and pushing. Because the truth is, what are you pushing towards? There's always going to be the next. There's always going to be the next. When are you going to be able to step back and take a break for yourself? And this is one reason I do offer herbal teas, so people can understand the process of slowing down. the process of having some time for yourself. And tea makes you slow down, tea makes you think. Tea is a process, right? So that you can sit with yourself and not only give your pour into yourself health benefits, but also pour into yourself time, valuable, intentional time to sit with yourself, to journal, to meditate, to just go over the day's events, to just have some quiet and stillness within you, because that's what's really missing with a lot of us. We just don't have that about beliefs. That's beliefs. So when journaling, you want to make sure that you can go if you're having trouble in spirituality, if you're questioning things, right? Go back. What did your parents believe in? Did they believe in anything? I mean, I had someone that I work with, and her and her husband never talked about God. They never uh, brought their kids to church, and she was telling me how she really regrets that because they have no belief at all. They're just going through life, which I can't imagine, because I did grow up with the belief, though I have left that belief in all beliefs of church. I don't believe in religion. I just believe in the Most High. Some that don't believe at all, which is totally fine. We all have to find our way. But if you're struggling, you might want to go back. If you're struggling with certain sins, if you're struggling with how you live your life, how you raise your kids, you might want to go back and revisit your household and see where some of the anxiety and worries, or some of the conflicts of belief may have started, to help you really go back and kind of fix those things within yourself where you're okay with yourself. What I'm trying to do is make sure that you're okay with you, that you know who you are, to reintroduce yourself to yourself. You got to go find out who you are, right? So you can take off that mask and just be you. I've had lots of things poured into us, and we now have come to a point where they are not working in sync, and they are creating these pockets of chaos in our lives. And so we have to really go back, find ourselves, and bring ourselves forward and reintroduce ourselves and have compassion and grace as we do that. Also, when we're journaling and you're looking at your life, there are a lot of patterns, recognizable patterns that we go through. And some people just refuse to look at them because they refuse to look at self. But you have to do that to correct what's going on. I know that I am terrible at picking partners, honey. This is my third marriage, terrible. But when I finally went back and I healed myself, I understood that I was worthy. I understood that just because of the bad mistakes that I made in the past doesn't mean that I have to bring them forward. So I had to do a lot of correction. I had to do a placing a lot of boundaries so that I could find the right mate, which I did, honey. I found that joker. Writing down patterns that you see, whether you keep leaving jobs, why is that? Or you continue to get fired, why is that? You can't get up in the morning to do X, Y, and Z, why is that? You have a hard time staying in a relationship, why is that? All of the things you struggle with stem from something, and you have to sit with yourself to figure out, be brave enough to write it down, read it out loud, write your notes, and figure out what is going on inside you and where did it come from? When did it start? So you have to work from today backwards and keep asking yourself that until you get to the root of the issue. Patterns is very powerful, and it makes you powerful once you recognize them and you say, hey, I'm going to change them. Once you start changing your patterns, you almost feel like you can do anything, because it's very hard to recognize those things in you. And let me tell you this, if you have a group of people who keep telling you the same thing over and over, don't ignore it. Say, I've heard that before about me. Let me sit and really dissect that. And if I feel that once I dissect it, it's true, how am I going to change that so that I can be seen in a better light? Right? We want to be able to live a good life where people trust us, where people understand that we are trying to grow, that we are never the same person that we were yesterday. That's the whole concept of of inner alchemy and self growth and self realization. Key points right now is to find out where your beliefs, your values, where your struggles come from, the root. And we're going to reinforce that by using the tools of journaling. We're going to go back. We're going to look. We're going to read. We're going to really comprehend what is really going on within us and where did it come from? Where did it start? Why do we have these issues that we are having today that are plaguing us? And this will just definitely deepen your reflection of self. At the end of all of this, self discovery is a journey, right? It's just a journey, it's not a destination. In this life, there is no set end destination. There are only more lessons to learn. And I know it sounds a little tiring, but there's only lessons. Life is a classroom. It is teaching you constantly. No matter who comes or goes out of your life, there is always a lesson to be had. And unfortunately, some of these lessons are hard. Some of them are life changing. Some of them are heartbreaking. But we have to find the lessons so that we can move on. Because in finding the lessons, it makes it just a tad bit easier to breathe. Don't take everything at face value, right? There is something to be said. There is something pushing you another direction, another path. Again, we are all here to serve each other, and that's in life, in transitioning into death. I never want to leave you empty handed. So I did want to make sure that I put this, it's the beginning journaling, because I know a lot of you did not do that. I will have a different worksheets regarding what we talked about for our next meditation journaling to self-discovery. But I have dropped the worksheets for the beginning for the beginning journaling meditation in there, a worksheet to get you through. If you signed up for this class, you will automatically get this recording in your email, which I love. This has been a wonderful session. I'm so happy that you decided to join me. I do want to say to you, family, please stay rooted and stay well. And whatever you are desiring, whatever you are seeking in this life, I pray that it is seeking and it is desiring you. Take care of each other and love on each other. God bless.